very good morning to you. Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. Today is Monday, March 9th, 2026. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike, a milder situation in the Northeast and a
Yeah.
hot situation in the Southwest.
It's incredible how warm the weather was yesterday. It went from 0 to 60 in terms of the temperature throttle, right? We're right back up into springtime feeling, especially for this afternoon with highs well above average. And we start the day nice and sunny and clear. All those clouds from yesterday and the weekend long gone. So we'll enjoy that clearing throughout the rest of the morning into the afternoon, helping temperatures climb today well in excess of average. We could see those highs, maybe set some records out in the Midwest, and this is what shifts east over the next day or so, bringing in even warmer weather throughout the rest of this week. So yes, above normal temperatures, not just for the Northeast, but also, like you mentioned, Ken, down in the Southwest, where there's some wet weather headed that way, and that could be the next weather system that tracks across the country over the next few days. You can see it here with the clear sky setting up in the Northeast, a lovely southwesterly wind. It looks beautiful, but look what's happening outside in the Southwest. Have this next round of weather move in and then transition its energy off to the Midwest, and that's what will likely create some threats of severe storms, because it is tornado season, especially as we head into the middle of March. All of that marches eastward and gives us our next weather threat of some rain by the middle to the end of this week. It also cools down most of the East Coast by the time we get to Thursday and Friday. So this little spring fling that takes us into the next few days doesn't last long. We're back to average once we get into Thursday, Friday time frame. We'll time it out for you, Ken, coming up with your next weather update.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Right now we have a temperature 41 degrees northern New Jersey. Trenton's temperature is hovering. Oh, that can't be. The Trenton thermometer says 74 degrees. We know that's not the case. I don't know why it hasn't updated. Huh? It says 74 degrees. Something's up with the Trenton signal. It says, I know it's not that. So let's stick with the 40s. It's 41 degrees in northern New Jersey. It says it's 39 degrees right now in Cape May and 40 degrees in Vineland. We look at Los Angeles, 57 degrees and clear at this hour, 4:03 Western time, 7:03 Eastern time. Checking out traffic right now. The only thing to talk about is the Hudson River crossings. The Lincoln Tunnel now reporting 25 minutes across Holland is easy at 15 to 20. We look at the GWB upper and lower levels already. A lot of traffic coming. People with their headlights on now that we've sprung ahead 1 hour. For those of you who are wiping the Sandman out of their eyes and haven't realized yet, it is daylight saving time. And yes, it's not savings, but daylight saving time. So now we are at 7:03 Eastern, 4:03 Pacific, in case you have not adjusted your clocks. But it's going to cost you 35 minutes, whether you adjusted your clocks or not, getting into Manhattan right now. Looking at traffic on the West Coast, we have in central LA a traffic hazard reported on the 110 at York Boulevard. We have a traffic collision with unknown injuries in central LA, and that's on the 10 at the 110. And then there's another traffic collision to report in Newhall. That's at the 5 and the 210 at that interchange. In the news, Iranian officials have chosen the next supreme leader to replace Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed February 28th in the U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. It is his son, Mojtaba Khamenei. Many say this is a signal of defiance from Iran. The announcement came after the Israel Defense Forces warned that Israel would continue to follow any successor and anyone who seeks to appoint a successor. It is unclear how many figures from Khamenei's inner circle have been killed in the expanding U.S.-Israeli operation. Over the weekend, Israeli forces expanded their attacks to Iran's energy infrastructure, and that has certainly impacted things because it set fuel depots ablaze in Tehran. And a strike on a hotel in central Beirut brought the war with Hezbollah to the middle of the Lebanese capital. Meanwhile, the sky over parts of Tehran burned bright orange in the middle of the night as Israeli strikes engulfed fuel depots in flames. The Iranian government warned citizens stay indoors as environmental fallout from the strikes blanketed parts of the city. Some there said it felt like it was raining oil. Globs of oil were coming from the sky after being blown up and blown into the air at the oil facilities. 4 minutes past the hour, the bombs hurled during violent protests near Gracie Mansion over the weekend, and they were real, highly volatile explosive devices. The NYPD describes them as IEDs, improvised explosive devices that could have caused serious injury or death. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch says that two pro-Muslim demonstrators, identified as Amir Balat and Ibrahim Kayumi, allegedly shouted Allahu Akbar as they threw the devices. The two were arrested in the incident, with federal authorities now working with the NYPD. They describe themselves as self-radicalized and are both U.S. citizens, though their families migrated here from Turkey and Afghanistan. Mayor Mamdani was inside Gracie Mansion a few hundred feet away when the incident occurred on Saturday. He was not injured. One of the bombs is believed to have gone off while police grabbed the other before it could cause harm. The two men hurling the devices into a crowd of anti-Islamist protesters. Mayor Mamdani denounced the anti-Islamist protesters as anti-Muslim. There is a difference. Anti-Islamist means you're against the radical faction, not all Muslims. But he said, the mayor said that those who are anti-Islamist were anti-Muslim. He said nothing, though, of the Muslims who threw the potentially deadly devices at the protesters. And now another device was found late yesterday afternoon in a vehicle that was parked in front of Gracie Mansion. The device was only described as suspicious. Again, the mayor was unharmed. 7 minutes past the hour, the U.S. Embassy in Oslo was hit by a loud explosion yesterday, causing minor damage, but no injuries in what may have been a deliberate attack linked to the crisis in the Middle East. No suspects have been identified, but police say they may be looking for several people in that incident. President Trump yesterday threatened to withhold his signature from any legislation until Congress passes a Republican-backed voting bill, the latest escalation in his push to ensure only U.S. citizens vote in our elections by being forced to prove who they are with government-issued ID before being allowed to vote. The Save America Act passed the House last month, but it faces an uphill battle in the Senate, where it requires at least 60 votes to overcome the chamber's filibuster rules. Although the head of the Senate can change that, but once he does, then the rules are changed for good. President Trump's warning comes days after he threatened to bypass Congress entirely by issuing an executive order to impose voter identification requirements if lawmakers fail to act. Yesterday's LA Marathon featured two different finish lines. That's right. And people weren't very happy with it, especially those who prepared for the marathon. We talked about this with Mike. Temperatures were expected to climb higher than 80 degrees when the marathon began, and organizers said that runners could finish their race early at the 18th mile and still get a medal if they are, quote, having a tough day. But people on social media disagreed, saying this means that people who just decide to give up at the 18th mile can still say they ran a full marathon, just like people who ran the entire 26.2 miles. It reduces the marathon completion medal to be little more than a participation trophy. A woman was found dead along a canal in Phoenix, prompting speculation over a possible connection to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. The remains were found Friday, more than 100 miles from Tucson, from where the 84-year-old matriarch went missing on February 1st. No evidence, though. No evidence this is Nancy Guthrie. They just found a body and they're going to look into it. Phoenix police have yet to release any identifying information about the woman they found. The slow pace of the investigation has frustrated Guthrie's loved ones, who offered $1 million cash reward for information leading to her safe return or recovery. Security video recovered from Nancy's doorbell camera pictured a masked man loitering on her doorstep the night before police believe she was kidnapped. No jail time for a former New Jersey mayor convicted of DUI. Lumberton Township Committee woman Gina LaPlaca pleaded guilty to DUI and child endangerment charges last Tuesday and was sentenced to 3 years of supervision. LaPlaca was caught recklessly driving drunk with her 2-year-old son in the car on St. Patrick's Day of last year, 2025, and will not face jail time because of New Jersey's second chance laws. The 46-year-old Democrat will be required to attend AA meetings and comply with New Jersey Division of Child Protection and Permanency requirements. What would you say causes the most sports-related injuries? Well, you could say it's wrestling or it's football. Nope, it's none of those. And it's not even hockey, our dear director Pam's favorite sport. If you give up, workouts. Workouts like home workouts and going to the gym and working out on gym equipment. More people get hurt with the workout equipment than they do on a football field. A study I think they're just a little uncoordinated. Just saying. A study analyzing over 4.3 million ER visits in 2024 found exercise equipment. That's right, like your home treadmill and things like that. Exercise equipment causes the most sports related injuries. In fact, workouts and the gym were to blame for nearly 565,000 injuries. I don't mean to laugh. Maybe it's because people think it's a controlled environment. They could push a little harder and they strain themselves. Who knows? Cycling, basketball, football, and skateboards and scooters were also high on the list of causing injuries. Men were injured 2 to 1 times over women, especially in male dominated sports like football and basketball. But again, more people are hurt when they do their home workout or go to the gym and do a workout in the gym than they are in the professional football field or playing professional hockey or professional soccer or sports that you would think would cause more injuries and damage to the body than doing a little home workout. Just remember to not push too hard when you're on your little treadmill doing with your little sweats on and things like that. Just saying. If you'd like to give us a call, the number is 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. I'm resetting the phones so we could take your calls right now. We'd love to know what you have to say. Have you ever been injured in a home workout? Give us a call. Let us know about it. We'd love to hear. That is the number to call. And you are watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. When we return, how reading together lowers family stress. Another check of meteorologist Mike Favetta's forecast. And again, we'll take those calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato live now on the East Coast and the West Coast. We're back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. And welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Monday, live in New Jersey and New York. And now we welcome Los Angeles. At 15 minutes past the hour, we will take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Here's meteorologist Mike Favetta.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
So, Mike, it's warm in the Northeast, or milder at least. We won't
Mm,
necessarily say warm,
much.
although it could. By tomorrow, it'll be warm, right? We're talking mid to upper 70s. But on the West Coast, we're talking hot.
Really warm weather. Yeah, yeah. It's that hot feeling. They've been dominated by this clear weather pattern that's just been driving down some dry, warm air all throughout the weekend. And here in the Northeast, we are starting to see that dry weather take over after so much cold and damp conditions over the weekend. You see this mud everywhere as all of the snowfall from the last several weeks is almost done melting. We're quite there yet. We have a few more big snow piles to get through, especially in the parking lots. But throughout most of the country, it's this clear sky that takes over, delivering loads of sunshine, even out west where you have the clear sky that's been the main story for the last few days. And of course, that heat, that starts to change as some moisture works its way up the coast, which will transition into a little bit of storm activity that arrives the middle of the week. So it's this big trough out west that allows for a lot of wet weather to take over the desert Southwest, and that's what moves to the Midwest by Wednesday, prompting some very warm winds to take over in the Northeast. We will have highs that may set some temperature records, but I think a lot of the attention will be in Tornado Alley, where you heard about the tornadoes over the weekend. Another round is likely out in the Midwest by the middle of the week. Warm out west right now with the clear sky, but some clouds starting to work their way in with the showers right there on the border, and I think we'll see that wet weather continue over the next several days as it moves eastward, and especially after the high that delivered loads of clear sky starts to break down and that wet weather moves in to the southwest. A lot of that transitions to some more clear sky over the coming days, but the big story, that heat out east, we'll tell you more about that and just how warm it gets, Ken, by the end of this week coming up.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Mike. 17 minutes past the hour right now. We look at traffic, and right now we do have an incident on the Garden State Parkway. It's a disabled vehicle in the area of Toms River. No major delays reported through there, but just to be aware of that, you could see the disabled vehicle there. Pam already zooming in on it, nice and tight. But the cars are zooming right by. So just be aware of it, kind of give caution, try to give space in that lane if you can. Other roadways, no major problems, just a little bit of a volume delay here and there, but nothing to write home about. In terms of your Hudson River crossings, though, your Holland Tunnel crossing is going to cost you 15 to 20 minutes, Lincoln 25 to 30. GWB upper and lower levels right now already slowing down, 35 to 40 minutes in upper level on the right, lower level on the left. Going to the West Coast now, we have a hit and run, no injuries reported, and this is in South LA at Long Beach Boulevard and East Wardlow Road. We have a traffic collision in Newhall, rather, on the 5 at the 210. Another traffic collision in Central LA at the 10 and the 110 interchange. Well, there's an organization helping to lower the stress level in families by encouraging reading together. Read Out and Read New Jersey focuses on starting the routine and helps people understand how shared reading among family members can support children's emotional health and development. Usha Ramachandran is the organization's medical director, and we say, welcome, Usha.
Good morning, Ken, and thank you so much for having me.
You bet. And this is a great topic. It's so important. My mother used to work at a school. She was in administration. My mother-in-law was a teacher. And all I've heard, because my mother was with a Montessori school and my mother-in-law taught little ones, and all I heard was how important it was to get them reading by the time they're 3, right? Isn't that like a magical number between 3 and 4? You got to get them reading then. If you wait till 4 or 5, it slows down the whole process for the rest of their lives. So the idea of children and families just taking a little time and reading together, the bonding and all, just sounds like a no-brainer.
Absolutely, absolutely, Ken. So we know that the brain grows the fastest between prenatally all the way up to 3 years of age. Lots of neural connections are being made, and that is a wonderful time, a wonderful opportunity for parents to sort of provide children with all the stimuli that they need to develop wonderfully. And like you said, getting kids maybe not even so much as reading by 3, but getting them to love books and love learning by the time they're 3 sets them up really well for everything else that is to come in the future. So
Yeah,
this
you
is
know,
what the Reach Out and
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. Please continue, doctor.
this is why the Reach Out and Read organization really believes in giving all parents and children the tools that they need to sort of set up this habit of daily reading with their children.
And I apologize. I thought you had finished your sentence. I know that, and
Oh,
again, using
that's
anecdotal descriptions, a reward would be my mother would take my brother and me into a bookstore and say, "You each get to pick out two books, or a serious one and a fun one," and it became something to look forward to. It was a reward mechanism as opposed to sugary snacks or something. So we couldn't wait. We would do a chore, we would do something extra to get a book because that was considered a reward. So is that necessary? You think the parents should be reinforcing the positive aspects of reading with their kids?
Oh, absolutely. Reading should always be fun. Like, we don't want parents to be sitting there teaching their kids how to read when they're two, when they're three, even, but to make it really fun. What we want is for parents to cuddle up with their kids, set aside a few moments every single day, if possible, right? Make that time when your child has your attention completely and where you read with the children. And I want to emphasize the word with children. So it's not
Mhm.
where you read to them, but you involve them in the reading. You get them to, you point to pictures on the page, you ask questions, follow their lead. If they want to flip through and go to the last page before they read the first page, that's perfectly okay. Follow their lead, make it fun, use all these animated voices, and so on to make it really fun for kids. That's what keeps them engaged and gets them to really love this time. But the most important thing is you. Parents are the biggest influence on their child's life, and just being on their lap, cuddling up with them and reading with them and having that routine can do wonders.
And then the stress level comes down so much, right? Because you have a family, everybody knows they're in support, they're a family unit, and there's that love and support mechanism, the bonding that grows. How essential is bonding through that time and the idea that we are a family unit, a tribe in essence?
That is, it is the most important thing, especially in times of stress and uncertainty. Children need that reassurance, right? They need routines. Routines help them feel calm. And so when you have a daily reading routine or other routines, for sleep and, eating and everything, it really helps them feel in control of their lives, makes that predictability happen in their lives that can make them feel secure. And then they just need that reassurance that they will have your attention, and your love and your cuddling and do something fun with you every day. And so those are the ways that, those are the small things that you can do every day to kind of help kids deal with the stresses in their lives. And then, of course, there's
Right.
all kinds of great books that you can read that specifically talk about addressing stress. This is one of my favorites. Ruby Finds a Worry, right? So books can open conversations, right? And so you can talk to kids about how to deal with stress in different ways by reading books with them and talking about what's happening in the book and relating it to their lives and so on.
Maybe the reason why I became a chubby kid was my favorite book was, I'm not kidding, my favorite book was Green Eggs and Ham. And my my mother, I loved it. My mother, to teach me what the words were, she used to like she made a plate of green eggs and ham. And she said, "So what
Wow.
is this? Eggs and green." And so that's how she used to connect so that I could associate. And I was able to, at 3, I remember look at every word and I knew how to pronounce it because of the connectivity, I guess, with food. But that says a lot about Italian Americans and their obsession with food. That's a whole other show on another day, doctor. But what about specific stresses endemic to New Jersey that reach out and read addresses? What are some endemic stresses here for New Jersey folks?
So, parenting has always been stressful, right? Kids don't come with little manuals, and each child is different from the other. Even if you've had several kids, it can still, you're figuring things out. So, parenting has always been stressful. But I think that, right now, parents are under even more stress. As our prior Surgeon General had said in the public health advisory that he put out about parenting stress, over 50% or close to 50% of families report feeling overwhelming stress. And some of those stresses that we're seeing in our offices here in New Jersey are, financial stresses, job layoffs right now. Things are getting more and more expensive. Lots and lots of, and in certain communities, the immigration issues are causing a lot of stress. And a lot of uncertainty in the world, conflicts across the world, parents worrying about their children's safety, their children's futures, and how AI is going to change everything and what's going to happen. So there's a lot of stressors. There's the stressors that have always been there, and then now we're facing lots and lots of new things. And so those are some of the things that we're seeing in our offices. And even the youngest of children, we're seeing lots of anxiety and in older children for sure. But even the younger ones who maybe can't understand what's on the news or can't understand what the family might actually be going through, they kind of absorb the stress that they are sensing in their parents, right? So that, we're seeing that in the littlest ones as well. Things like sleep problems, difficulty handling and regulating their emotions, extra clinginess, and so on. So we're seeing a lot of that in New Jersey right now. So, yeah.
No, I was going to say we should just mention again, Dr. Ramachandran is a pediatrician, and by the way, we need pediatricians. I know pediatricians and family practitioners are in demand right now. And my pediatrician was my best friend. He was my doctor until I was in my early 20s. He said, "You can keep coming, don't worry
Ooh.
about it." I love pediatricians. God bless you for what you do. What's a website, doctor, for more information?
So reach out and read. It's all one word, .org
It is
is the
important to
website.
talk
And
to your
there's
pediatrician too, right? When you bring your child in, if there's any issue with stresses and reading, talk to your pediatrician. There's your first stop right there. Dr. Usha Ramachandran, Medical Director of Reach Out and Read New Jersey. Thank you for coming on this morning. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having
And
me.
we're
I
coming
really
right back.
appreciate it.
Morning, it's 30 minutes past the hour, Monday, March 9th, 2026. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, live on the East Coast and now on the West Coast in Los Angeles and San Diego. Welcome to you, nice folks, where it's going to be a lot warmer. Here's meteorologist Mike Favetta's forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike, even though it was like in the 80s in Los Angeles yesterday, which is kind of rare even for LA in March, early March,
Sure.
I'll take what we had, upper 60s, mid to upper 60s yesterday was beautiful, beautiful in the afternoon.
And it felt warm even into the evening hours after the sun set, where typically you would get cold. No, that humidity kind of helped that warmth linger into the late hours of the day. And that's what's going to happen again each and every day, especially with that clear sky lingering each afternoon. Now, once we get to Wednesday, you see this line of showers that marches in across the Northeast. A lot of it breaks down by the time it reaches us. So, not anticipating much, if any, rainfall throughout the rest of this work week. Beyond that is some cooler weather ahead for Thursday and Friday. With that sharp temperature drop on Thursday, it'll really begin to feel cool. And then keeping an eye on our next round of wet weather, which may come in by late Sunday. You can see it lining up here off to the west. Once that passes through, we'll start to see a little bit of a warm up again into next week. So as far as the current conditions, we are dry right now. We start off nice and sunny. Yes, the sun rises an hour later, but at least we'll enjoy those later sunsets this evening. Heading into the end of the day, we're nice and clear tomorrow, have a few passing clouds by the evening, and we're on the right side of the warm front, meaning that it'll stay nice and warm going into the middle of the week. Then once we get into Thursday time frame, that's when the front clears the area and brings down temperatures, making it feel cooler again, closer to average. We should only be in the mid 40s this time of year, so the 60s and 70s that we'll enjoy over the next few days, very unusual, but hey, at least it'll feel nice. And then as we head into the middle of March, cooler weather in our offing for at least the next few weeks. But out west, that warmth continues with that beautiful warmer trend, even going into the end of the week. A dry trend too. You can see all of that dry weather out in the desert southwest likely, whereas our chances of rain in the northeast looking a little bit better going into the next few days. So a little bit of kind of a cooler, wetter scene for the northeast, where it's hot and dry continued, Ken, out west.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. And we have a temperature now in Trenton, by the way, 38 degrees. It's 41 degrees northern New Jersey, 41 degrees also in Cape May, and 39 degrees in Vineland. We take a look. Oh, West Coast, by the way, 57 degrees Los Angeles and 57 degrees also now as we look in San Diego. Checking out traffic now in the Northeast. We have two issues here in New Jersey on the Garden State Parkway. The first one is a crash on the Garden State northbound south of exit 98, which is Route 138 Wall Township. Two left lanes blocked, and that's causing a 4-mile delay. Look at that strip of traffic there on the left over my name, Ken. Look at the strip of traffic, how far that goes. That's about a 3 to 4 mile backup actually now. It says here, yeah, it just updated. It said initially 2-mile delay. They just updated it to 4-mile delay. That is a mess. And as you can see, they're not crawling, they're stopped. So that is on the Garden State Parkway, northbound, just south of exit 98, Route 138, Wall Township. Two left lanes blocked, and it is a 4-mile delay. Good God. All right. We have another issue about 16 miles away on the Garden State Parkway, further south. And this is not causing anywhere near this. You can see the disabled vehicle there on the right side. Oh, somebody showed up to help. That red car just showed up to help. The vehicle in front has been disabled for about half an hour now. But that is in the Toms River area by the Toms River Toll Plaza, the right lane blocked. Doesn't even look at. They're still saying the right lane is blocked. I don't think that's the case. It looks like he's off on the shoulder. Just got to avoid that if you can as you're passing through that area. Hudson River crossings right now. The Holland Tunnel is going to cost you 25 to 30. Lincoln 30 to 35. GWB upper and lower pretty heavy. 8095 approach. Look at the right side of your screen. You'll see that's the upper level. That's a little better than the lower on the left. Upper is going to cost you 40 minutes. Lower 45 to 50. On the West Coast right now, we are looking at some issues with a traffic collision in Baldwin Park. So there's a traffic collision with unknown injuries by Barranca Street on-ramp. You also have a hit and run with no injuries reported in South LA at Long Beach Boulevard and East Wardlow Road, and a traffic collision, unknown injuries now in Central LA on the 10 at the 110 where the two have their interchange. 35 minutes past the hour. Strategic communications is essential for businesses in order to make it today. Mike Worldwide Public Relations has brought in Mahan Gunaratna. I knew I was going to do it, Mahan Gunaratna, excuse me, who is now the company's new Executive Vice President of Public Affairs. Gunaratna is most recently serving as Chief Strategy Advisor and Communications Director to former New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy. He did a very good job doing that. And he was Deputy Communications Director for former New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. We say welcome to you, Mahan. Good to have you on, and I apologize for the name.
Great to be on this morning, Ken.
Nice to have you on. I think I may have met you when I was at Channel 7 in New York, and you were with Mayor de Blasio, who, by the way, I mean, I don't have to tell you, was, no matter what you thought of him politically, as a journalist, he was a delight. He was a gentleman, a very, very pleasant gentleman to deal with. So I know working with somebody is a whole different story. You may have your own stories behind the scenes, but a delight. So was Governor Murphy as well to talk. And we didn't always give him the easiest time as members of the media. Yeah, that's our job, but delight to talk to. And a lot of that I know has to do with the public relations aspect. Now you're with Mike Worldwide. What is it like going from the world of government to public relations with a major firm like that?
Well, it's certainly a transition. We had really great relationships with you and your team, Ken, and I remember working with you when you were across the river in your New York days. It's a big transition insofar as on one end, you're working with a singular elected official, getting their message out on any given day. The issue could be the budget, it could be a forest fire, it could be a law enforcement related issue, it could be a schools related issue. And then when you switch to the private sector, you're working basically with a constellation of clients, corporate partners, healthcare clients, AI companies, energy companies, et cetera, to try and basically bolster their corporate reputation, work on corporate comms, aid them in crisis situations. So there are certain parallels, but there are also distinct differences.
Mahan, years ago, it used to be you had your cadre of TV stations, your cadre of radio stations, your few newspapers. You got a press release together, you reached out to them, you had your contacts in your phone, you knew who to call. That's changing dramatically, as you know. TV stations are dying on the vine. Radio stations are a shadow of their former selves. They farm out the news to somebody in the Midwest to do local news for New York. I mean, to see what's happening to the broadcasting industry is shocking. It already happened to print about 10, 15 years ago. How does that change your approach? It's not just a matter of reaching out to the few TV and radio stations anymore. Now you have this whole group of online influencers you have to reach out to.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a very fragmented, I don't even say in media ecosystem anymore. I just say information ecosystem. You know, a lot of media outlets have been hollowed out. Like you said, the trend that came to print media 10, 15 years ago is now hitting the TV industry. And so you have to be a lot more nimble and you have to be a lot more segmented in how you communicate and with whom you're communicating. It depends on what audience you're trying to reach on a given day. And it depends on what message you're trying to drive home. But it really entails focusing on multi-platform, all hands on deck type of approaches. You can't just rely on a singular outlet, a singular medium to get your message out. It's really ensuring that you're hitting all different types of audiences through all different types of platforms in as many creative and direct to consumer ways as possible.
And you in your position, when you're an executive vice president of a PR, I don't want to say PR because you guys go above and beyond PR, but that's one of the things you handle. It's not only promotion, but you also handle when there's a crisis, right? Crisis management for organizations. Maybe a company gets hacked and they come to you and say, my gosh, now we're going to get 1,000 or 100,000 people who are going to be screaming at us. What do we do? What do we say? What message do we get across? What do you do to get that message across when a company is in an existential threat of potentially going bankrupt for something like that? I mean, it's a whole different mode that you have to go into.
Absolutely. And it's a situation that a lot of different clients and a lot of different companies find themselves in at any given point in time. It could be sometimes due to their fault due to their own making, or it could be a situation that they've been thrust into unwittingly. You need to, first off, gather all the information of the situation at hand internally. So many times information is siloed between different departments, between different colleagues, and there isn't one central clearinghouse. And hopefully your communications operation or apparatus can be that clearinghouse in a moment of crisis. It can't just be siloed off with your legal team or siloed off amongst certain executives. So first off is gathering all the correct information internally so you understand what you're dealing with and more importantly, what you're not dealing with. Secondly, I think you need to lead with transparency and with honesty in many situations. Sometimes there are legal constraints that you face, and those hurdles are insurmountable. But the more honest you can be, the quicker you can be with that honesty, and the more transparent you can be in a given moment, that engenders a lot of sympathy, particularly in the critical early days. So there isn't one set playbook in dealing with a crisis situation, but certainly there are some guiding principles that can help get you and your organization to a better place. And I believe gathering all the information in one central place and then leading with transparency, accountability are some very important precepts there.
I think a lot of people also underestimate, Mahan, how essential it is to have, and I'm not blowing smoke because you're on, but when you have somebody like yourself who was connected with so many people in media and so many influencers in your previous roles, you have the ability to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Joe, what are you doing with this story? Be careful. This guy didn't do any of this stuff." You can't say enough how valuable and essential something like that is, as opposed to somebody who's a rookie who doesn't have contacts. A crisis happens, they start picking up the phone and calling people. They don't know who to call. You have that connection. People don't realize how important that is. So when you are trying to communicate that to potential clients with Mike Worldwide, is that one of the first things you tell them? Like, hey, there is a difference. There are 1,000 PR agencies out there, but there's only a few who are successful, and there's a reason for it.
Look, I think like in any industry, your reputation really matters and your relationships really matters. So being able to leverage past relationships, having a strong track record of working with people credibly, transparently, and being a straight shooter, I think carries over in any industry, but particularly in the industry that we operate in, which is, media, communication space, et cetera. So I think that's an important differentiator. And it's one of the reasons why I came to MWW. This was a firm founded by Michael Kempner in a Jersey City apartment 40 years ago this year. But it's the nation's leading, independent and integrated public relations agency with Jersey roots, but now it's become an international agency. But I definitely think being a straight shooter, having strong relationships with their colleagues in the press, in the online space, with influencers, with pundits, with analysts, really, really matters and carries over in whatever industry you're working in.
And they are a massive company. Give us a website so people could reach out to you.
Absolutely. MWW.com. We work with a number of clients across New Jersey, across the nation, and internationally, across all different sectors. Feel free to reach out. We're always happy to talk through whatever issue you may be dealing with on a given day.
www.mikeworldwide.com. Mahan Gunaratna, Mike Worldwide Executive Vice President of Public Affairs. Congratulations on the new title. Thank you for coming on this morning. All the best to you.
Thanks for having me this morning, Ken.
You bet. We're coming right back. back to Mornings with Ken Rosato at 46 minutes past the hour. We'll take calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast for your city.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
And one thing I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, in just a minute, we're going to be talking to Fisher about LexisNexis and a huge breach with them. So he's going to have the details for us. Here's a breach. Warm weather. We'll take milder weather. And meteorologist Mike Favetta, I bow to you, sir.
You know, it's incredible how warm this weather will be over the next few days, and then the shocking cold that returns in just a few days, because by the time we get to Friday across New Jersey, we will be back down into the 20s and 30s for wind chills. Say it ain't so. So it's like this little fling with spring, doesn't last very long, and then all of a sudden we get right back into the cooler weather that sets us up for the upcoming weekend. I think my battery's died. But it's going to be a rather cool period for the next few days, especially as we head into the end of the week. Here's what I wanted to show, just how gusty those winds are, especially with the chill that sets up going into the end of the week with the forecast winds that will be upwards of 20, 30, maybe gusting to 40 miles per hour. That's by Wednesday. Look at the wind direction, pushing in from the west and southwest, and that will provide a very dry breeze, which will make it feel nice and warm. Before that happens, the warm up and then a sharp cool down with that contrast of those northwesterly gusts, which makes it feel so much colder going into the next few afternoons, especially by the time we get to Thursday, Friday timeframe. So highs in the 60s and 70s, thanks to those lovely southwesterly winds. And then as we head into the end of the week, yep, we're right back into the cold with that shade of blue that returns. So chilly weather ahead. Once we get beyond the nice warmth, we'll tell you all about that coming up, Ken, with your New Jersey weather update in our next weather segment.
All right, Mike, thank you very much, sir. And in terms of temperatures, 38 degrees now in Trenton, 41 degrees northern New Jersey. On the west coast, LA, we have 56. It is 57 degrees in San Diego. Traffic, and now it's starting to pop up. 45 minutes ago, we had almost nothing. Let's go to the Garden State Parkway, the original one that we had, Pam, the crash. This is down at exit 98. Crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound south of exit 98, which is Route 138 in Wall Township. 2 left lanes blocked, and it's causing a 4 to 5 mile delay. Look at the strip of traffic on the left side. They are absolutely frozen. They have been that way now for about 25 minutes, not moving. Imagine being stuck in that. And that's because 3 miles ahead of where they're headed, there are 2 lanes closed. So because of that, it's causing a stretch of 4 to 5 miles of stopped traffic. Don't want to be in that. I feel for those folks right now. We have another issue right now in the Garden State Parkway as well, and that is northbound south of exit 143C, and that's Route 124 in Irvington. The right lane is blocked there, and you can see just a little slowdown, a little brake check through there. So folks are trying to make their way to the left, and that's why the left lanes are starting to slow down. We have a crash just reported, actually not a crash, it's a disabled tractor trailer. And that is on 1 and 9 truck route northbound, south of 440 in Jersey City. So this is near the Holland Tunnel. When you come out of the Holland Tunnel and you get onto 440, the right lane of 3 lanes closed. We'll see if we can get you a camera shot. I don't know if there's a camera near there. We'll look to see if we have one. But again, disabled tractor trailer, that area is always bumper to bumper, even at night. So the fact that this is now probably blocking part of a lane, that's not going to help them at all. Your Hudson River crossings, the Lincoln is going to cost you 35 to 40 now. That's all volume. The Holland is 25 to 30 once you get through that 440 area that we just talked about. GWB has been pretty heavy. Upper and lower level 80 and 95. The right side is your upper level, left side is your lower, and we're talking 40 minutes into Manhattan. On the West Coast now, we have issues in I'm sorry, something just cleared up on us. That's a good thing. In East LA, traffic collision, unknown injuries on the 605 at Route 60. And then we have a hit and run, no injuries in South LA at Long Beach Boulevard and East Wardlow Road. We have a traffic collision in Central LA now on the 10 at the 110. Well, data giant LexisNexis has confirmed a major breach after hackers accessed details of hundreds of thousands of user profiles and government accounts. Joining us now with this topic and more is brand and digital strategist Fisher, who can be found on Twitter and Threads with username @Fisher and through his website, fisher.media. Good morning, Fisher.
Good morning.
So what does a breach like this mean for the average person? Because LexisNexis is used by law firms and government,
Yep.
et cetera. So how big is this?
Yeah, it's big. For those of you who don't know what LexisNexis is, Ken went into it, but it is a major data broker, provides background checks, risk assessments, identity verification, detailed profiles to banks, insurers, employers, and government agencies for nearly every American. They confirmed the breach early this month, and they described it as contained, which usually all the companies do. They say it only affected a limited number of servers in their systems, mostly legacy and deprecated data from before 2020. The stolen data, though, reportedly included 3.9 million database records, including 400,000 cloud user profiles with names, emails, phone numbers, job functions, 118 government linked accounts, including federal judges, DOJ attorneys, SEC staff, plus passwords, support tickets for your job, cloud secrets, and legacy information. The company stated there was no evidence of impact to its core products, services, or current customer data systems, and it engaged third-party forensic experts for investigation and remediation. This marks LexisNexis's second major breach in under 2 years, following a 2024, early 2025 incident that exposed hundreds of thousands of records, including social security numbers, and that led to class action lawsuits. And Ken, like Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, you could also lock or freeze your credit at LexisNexis by going to their website. But in this case, that may not have helped. But at least if at this point there's an inquiry into your data and you froze your credit through LexisNexis, and again, into the other major credit bureaus, that could help in case somebody wanted to activate against the data that might have been stolen.
And you just scratch your head and think, if something is large, an organization is large, and with the connections that LexisNexis has, if they can be hacked,
Mhm.
the rest of us don't stand a chance, basically, is what it looks like. And you just
Yeah,
recently talked about how online child safety was such a big thing right now, and how it's now hitting some roadblocks. Age verification systems could mean permanent ID tracking. So what is
exactly.
that about? And why would people
Yes.
be concerned?
Yeah, CNBC actually did an article about this over the weekend, and I thought it was important to bring it up, as roughly half of United states have passed or are advancing laws mandating age verification on platforms like social media, adult content sites, online gaming, and other services to prevent underage access. Now, that sounds great because you're protecting kids from accessing things that they shouldn't, right? But these laws put millions of adults into mandatory verification gates, which often rely on AI-powered tools such as facial recognition and age estimation models, analyzing selfies or videos, meaning you take a picture of yourself and it says, yeah, Fisher, you do look over the age of 18. So no need for your identity verification. But verification frequently involves third-party vendors that may retain sensitive identity data for extended periods of time, creating risks of data breaches, like we talked about, hacks, or even government access demands. Civil liberty groups criticize the approach, arguing it links personal and biometric data to everyday online behavior. Again, we talked about this in past weeks, Ken. We talked about, again, third parties getting access to your driver's license. We've talked about in Australia, they're putting forward laws to require you to log into Google or insert your search browser there. And so again, your identification is being tracked, or your searches are being tracked to your identification. A federal court temporarily blocked Virginia's age verification laws last week on First Amendment grounds after challenges from industry groups. Again, Virginia Attorney General Jay Jones emphasized aggressive enforcement to shield children from harm, like addictive social media feeds. While aimed at child protection, the systems raise broader privacy surveillance and piracy concerns, with calls for for federal privacy standards over this patchwork state rules. And it's important, and we're seeing this more and more. But yeah, having your identity, and for adults having to verify themselves to prove that they're not kids in this case, instead of kids having to prove that they're not adults.
And just to give people an idea who say, well, why do I care? Let's just say you want to look at a site, you want to buy lingerie for your wife or your girlfriend. You have every right to do that. That's your business. Well, now it may want you to show your driver's license to prove your age. That site gets hacked. Now somebody has data. Oh, Joe Schmo, look at, here's his driver's license with all this personal information. And by the way, he was looking at the lady lingerie site. What's that about? That's where this matters so much, because
Mhm.
we just talked about LexisNexis getting hacked. If they can get hacked, this is where you have problems. So if every time you need to get on a website, it's asking for you to prove your age, now that's all the more chances that your data is out there in the World Wide Web, and people have all those many more abilities, if you will, to hack and get your information. It's just
And
terrifying.
regarding to the
All we have.
breaches, I mean, we talked about this with TikTok and China. Again, having that data and it gets hacked by China, now they can, if you decide to run for political office, if you decide to run for school board, whatever that is, they have data on you that they can, hey, you don't want to do that, or we need you to vote this way. Now, again, that's political office, but this could be many different things of, ransom or knowing where you are, knowing your searches. There's a lot to this. And, I saw actually a discussion yesterday, even your voicemails, having your name, hey, it's Fisher, can't get to the phone right now. If an AI bot calls, and now knows my voice, how I say it, all that could be hacked and used against you. I mean, this is, it's becoming more and more a problem of every piece of your information being, I don't know, but just being out there, whether, again, your voice or your personal information that we just talked about.
Absolutely. Very scary stuff. Brandon, digital strategist Fisher, who can be found on Twitter and Threads with username @Fisher and through website fisher.media. Thanks for coming on, bud. And we are
Thanks,
coming
Ken.
right back. Very good morning. It's 8 a.m., Monday, March 9th, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234. I want to sing a song about spring. Sunny and 70 today, more sunshine tomorrow, temps in the upper 70s. Then it comes down like a slap in the face, cold water, and a bright summer's morning. Time to check with meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
So all the nice weather today, tomorrow, it's going to be like somebody stealing your Christmas gifts on Christmas morning later in the week.
It is. Well, it's a nice compromise to the slap in the face it felt like when you woke up this morning, given how it just felt so much earlier with the time change. And yet, here we go with temperatures feeling like a throwback to the winter chill after a beautiful, mild start to the day yesterday. We're back down in the 30s. So yeah, it's chilly all across the state. Actually, our temperatures cooled off into the low 30s, even below the freezing mark for many locations overnight. Newark tends to be a little bit warmer, had a little bit of sunshine to finish out the day yesterday, but 20 degrees cooler than this time yesterday in Morristown, 23 degrees cooler in Toms River. So a big chill returning for this morning, but with the dry air, we warm right up into this afternoon. We have a lot of sun to start the day, nice and clear sky to begin our morning. And with highs today getting all the way up into the low 70s, like in West Caldwell, 69 up in Ramsey, 67 in Randolph, even down toward Toms River, 64. It'll feel lovely through this afternoon with those nice dry breezes blowing all throughout the state. So that's how temperatures managed to make it up into the low 70s today. Tomorrow, we have another milder start. Doesn't cool off all that much because that lovely southerly breeze keeps pushing in that warmer air, making for another day in the 70s tomorrow afternoon and then 70s again by Wednesday. Now, Thursday sees a few showers return. A lot of that could be later on at night. And as that moves on by, notice the temperature drop right back down into the 40s and then the 30s with that northwesterly breeze. So our little fling, I did it again, spring fling comes to an end, bringing back much cooler weather by the end of the forecast period, especially come Thursday. We'll tell you all about that and how that impacts the weekend's weather, Ken, coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. At 8:03 right now, we look at traffic, and we have a lot of it. Let's go back to the Garden State Parkway. This is the crash we told you about down at exit 98. This is northbound south of exit 98, Route 138, Wall Township. The two left lanes are blocked. There is now a 5-mile delay. Look at what this is causing. Where it says my name there, Ken at the bottom of the screen. They are moving at 0 to 5 miles an hour. So that is 5 miles of crawling. Anybody you know taking that route to get to work or school today, they're going to have a massive problem getting in. So just maybe call ahead for them if they don't have a cell phone. If they do have a cell phone, I'm sure they're frantically calling saying they're going to be late. But again, for those just tuning in, this is a crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound, south of exit 98, Route 138 in Wall. Two left lanes blocked, and it's a 5-mile delay. Other issues right now in the Garden State, we have a disabled vehicle that was just cleared down by the Toms River Toll Plaza. We had shown that earlier. That's been cleared up. But this is something that's fairly fresh here. It's a crash on the Garden State northbound south of exit 143C, Route 124 in Irvington with the right lane blocked there. And something we just got as well. This is a disabled tractor trailer, 1 and 9 truck route northbound south of Route 440 in Jersey City. Right lane of 3 lanes closed. So that would be the furthest to the top. You see that one lane that's kind of going slower than all the others. I love how you have this craziness of traffic in every direction. This is enough to cause people to pass out with the bright sun in your eyes and traffic going left, right, up and down the screen. But the topmost lane is the one we're talking about, and that is being impacted by this disabled vehicle, disabled tractor trailer, 1 and 9 truck route, northbound south of Route 440 in Jersey City with the right lane closed. Your Hudson River crossings right now, the Holland Tunnel is going to cost you 20 minutes in. The Lincoln is 25 to 30, and the GWB upper and lower fairly heavy this morning. It's been that way all morning long. Upper level on the right, lower on the left. We are talking 40 minutes on the right, which is upper level, left side 45 minutes to get into Manhattan via the GWB. Well, Iranian officials have chosen the next supreme leader to replace the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed February 28th in the U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. It is his son, Mojtaba Khamenei. Many say that this is a signal of defiance from Iran. The announcement came after the Israeli Defense Forces warned that Israel would continue to follow any successor and anyone who seeks to appoint a successor. Basically, you have a bullseye on your head. It is unclear how many figures from Khamenei's inner circle have been killed in the expanding U.S.-Israeli operation. Some estimates are between 50 and 70. Over the weekend, Israeli forces expanded their attacks to Iran's energy infrastructure, setting fuel depots ablaze in Tehran. And a strike at a hotel in central Beirut brought the war with Hezbollah to the middle of the Lebanese capital. Meanwhile, the skies over parts of Tehran burned bright orange in the middle of the night as Israel struck some fuel depots and left them in flames. The Iranian government warned citizens stay indoors because of environmental fallout from the strikes blanketing parts of the city. It's 8:06. Community leaders from across New Jersey gathered at MetLife Stadium to celebrate the 40th anniversary of LISC New Jersey, highlighting decades of investment in affordable housing, small businesses, and underserved communities.
And that's exactly what LISC is providing opportunity and equity for all, regardless of your zip code, regardless of your ethnicity, your origin. That's our work, and that's what drives me.
During the event, several leaders were honored for their work supporting economic opportunity and community development throughout the state.
It's just standing in the gap, just basic human decency. There's very little difference between poor people and rich people. They just need an opportunity. And with the opportunity, they can make their own way in life. So that's what I do.
We've been actually able to use our dollars to build and support affordable housing across the state. We also do a lot of work around job training programs to help people increase their wages so they can actually have career pathway jobs.
We're an engine of social economic mobility. Students come to NJIT, when they graduate, they automatically impact their life, the generation before and the generation thereafter. And so this is a multi-generational impact.
It's a great school, too. And state leaders say partnerships like these are key to expanding housing options and making New Jersey more affordable for families.
Governor Sherrill and I are making sure New Jersey's, everything's affordable in New Jersey. Affordable housing, to make sure we expand it, to make sure that people can pay their bills is critically important. LISC plays an important role in making sure that people can live where they want to live. And so we want to work closely with them to really expand the options.
That was Lieutenant Governor Dale Caldwell. They're a really nice guy. And this is so essential. So it's great to see that this organization got everybody together. Networking events like this are so essential. We have one of the best darn states in the whole country. It's nice to see everybody working together and trying to move forward as the Garden State. 8:08 is our time, and a woman is dead after being struck by a New Jersey transit train. And that happened yesterday in Ramsey. It happened just before 11 a.m. near the Main Street crossing near the Ramsey station. Rail service had to be suspended in both directions between Port Jervis and Allendale, but was later restored with hour-long delays. The train originated in Port Jervis. It was headed to Hoboken with about 150 people on board when the incident happened. The victim's name not yet released. NJ Transit Police are investigating. Well, Google Translate has a lot of cool uses, but how about robbing a restaurant with it? That's right. Police in Newark say a guy tried to rob an Ecuadorian restaurant in the Ironbound. The suspect allegedly used Google Translate on his phone to announce the robbery in Spanish. He apparently did not speak Spanish. He assumed the people behind the counter did. Before you find it weird or funny, police say that he threatened to shoot the cashier if she did not open the register. The man then tried to take the register but could not. Then took a cup of coffee, hot coffee, threw that at the cashier and ran away. Well, that man was caught on surveillance video. Police are asking anyone who may recognize him. You could see that right there. If you could make out anything from him, maybe the way he walks or stands, please, if you recognize him, to call. It is 8:10 right now. Ocean County is known for its beautiful beaches. Now you can add libraries to the list of reasons to visit. Seems Ocean County's library system and its Office of Senior Services have received national recognition from the Public Library Association. The two organizations have worked hard together to create programs for the county's large senior population. Nearly 24% of Ocean County residents are older adults, totaling more than 200,000 people. Programs at local libraries connect seniors with resources, support activities, and social activities. Well, a major concert celebrating America's 250th anniversary will take place July 3rd at Monmouth County's all-new Park Stage. The lineup includes Little Steven and the Disciples of Soul, Jay Clemens Band, Joe Grusecki, the House Rockers, Gary U.S. Bonds, Low Cut Connie, and the Weaklings. Tickets went on sale Friday. They could be purchased through Park Stage and Ticketmaster. The concert is part of a larger series of celebrations happening across Monmouth County this year. We've had the folks on our air to talk about it. This is a whole new complex. Park Stage is exciting. It's a beautiful complex. Go to their website or go to Monmouth County's website. You could Google it, Park Stage. It's all one word, PARKSTAGE. It is the newest feature in Monmouth County. So you come on down to Monmouth County from anywhere in the tri-state, whether you be down in Philadelphia or up in New York. You spend the day on the beach, and then afterward, Park Stage itself will have a great event for you. It's really a great way to bring people to a beautiful, beautiful county, one of the prettiest counties, certainly in our state. And we have a lot of beautiful counties in the state of New Jersey. Coming up on 8:12 right now. And when we come back, we will talk women's health and wellness. So essential and something that all too many women who are working so hard to keep their families healthy and their families in shape and their family things, they then tend to neglect their own health. So we're going to talk about how important that is. Plus, it sure feels like spring is here. Sunny and 70 today. More sunshine tomorrow with temps in the upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with your full Garden State forecast. And we want to know what you have to say. Give us a call at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. You can leave a voicemail for us, talk to us directly, whatever you'd like. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, and we will be back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. It is 8:15, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. Sure feels like spring is here. Sunny and 70 today. More sunshine tomorrow. Temps upper 70s, but don't get too used to it. Right to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right. If my grandmother, my late blessed grandmother, if she had this accent, this is what she would be saying right now. This is how you get sick. This is how you get sick. One day it's 78, the next day it's 48. That's how you get sick. You don't know how to dress. All right, do I have it?
And
Did
yet,
I
this
do
is the
grandma well?
same day. You know, Ken, the same day we start off in the 70s, falling to the 30s. That's what's forecast by Thursday, getting so much the variability in weather in just several hours of the same day. So you get dressed in the morning and it'll be far different by the afternoon. Look at the visibility with that fog down the shore along the parkway there towards Ship Bottom and LBI. Less than a mile right now. Well, a lot of that is due to the clear sky, the warm air over some pretty chilly waters, but that'll eventually clear by this afternoon. So as long as there's a light easterly breeze, you could see some of that sea mist and fog roll in at the shore, but inland, well above average, climbing to near 70 by this afternoon. Gave you a glimpse of this before with that warmer weather moving in from the south throughout this week, helping our highs climb to well above average in terms of temperature. Then, of course, the wind helping to fuel that warmer wind direction. Then we have the westerly and northwesterly wind by Thursday, late morning, early afternoon. That helps drop the temperature, and that's how we get so chilly. So the timing of that front that provides that wind shift is really what's going to drive our temperature change, especially going from the 70s throughout this week right back into the 30s come Thursday afternoon. So a big sharp drop by the end of this week, and you'll feel it, especially heading out in the morning and then coming home later on. But we have plenty of days to the milder weather to enjoy, especially with that clearing that takes over. Lots of sunshine over the next several days. There's a whole lot of clear real estate headed in our direction, and that's what will make it feel beautiful throughout this week, especially here as we zoom into New Jersey. Our highs this week climbing well into the upper 60s, even some low 70s. Tomorrow morning starts nice and mild, and look at that, 76 in Newark by 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, 77 in Hackensack, even down the shore. Lovely. But if you head to the beaches, please keep this in mind. The ocean temperature is still in the low 40s. So, with a little bit of a breeze off of the water, it will feel like the 40s at the beaches. That is really important to note, considering how a lot of folks look outside and go, oh my goodness, it's a beach day. And then they get down to the shore and realize they needed the winter coat. So, there's very cold weather at the beaches throughout this week, as long as that breeze is out of the south. And then it kind of chills out for the rest of us throughout Thursday, with a few chances of light rain overnight Thursday, bringing back our threat of cooler weather for the rest of this weekend. Then there's a little nudge of snow that tries to come in for early Sunday morning. I don't really believe it just yet. It's still, almost a week away, so I'm not too concerned about that threat. But beyond that, the cooler feel, that'll be around with a few more chances of rain heading into next week as that wet weather pattern seems to take over. Beyond that, the weekend forecast looks nice and dry with another milder day on Sunday, 53 as the high. So a much cooler feel than we'll enjoy for this week. But over the next few days, Ken, it's going to warm up. So enjoy the warmth.
La 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 la. Pam said you said something about snow, snow, snow. La 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 la
Yeah,
la. I
I
don't hear
know.
you.
Just
Having trouble getting
glance
your
right over
signal.
it.
Don't know what you're talking about. I heard 77 degrees tomorrow. That's all I heard. Everything beyond that. I just got back from Fort Lauderdale, as you can tell. Yeah, that's all we're thinking is 77 degrees. But
Yeah.
hey, Mike, one little bit of good news here. Remember, we've been talking about the New Jersey Transit reducing their service by 50% because they were working on the Portal Bridge, the Century Old Portal Bridge.
Right.
Next week, they should be done. So
All
once
right.
all the testing is done between this week and next, by next week, make sure you have the app for NJ Transit. Hopefully by next week, at the current rate, everything seems to be going according to schedule. By next week, everything should be back on schedule. And now we don't have to worry about any bridges getting stuck up because we're going to have the new Portal Bridge North, the new North Portal Bridge.
Oh,
That's
I'm going
going
to
to be
miss
in
that
operation.
sledgehammer that they have to use twice an hour.
Unreal. Can you imagine doing that for years and years and
Yeah.
years?
Mhm.
Finally, it's going to be done. It's a thing of the past. All right, good deal. Thank you very much, Mike. We're going to check some of the other traffic right now. We have that issue still, although it looks like it may be clearing up. This is Garden State Parkway northbound, south of exit 98 down in Wall. All lanes are open. Look at that. Wow, they really opened it up. Now, what you see on the left, you see how they zoomed in and they're straightening the camera. That was bumper to bumper stop. So they must have just cleared that up. So that was, again, exit 98 in Wall. In fact, they literally just refreshed my screen as we're talking. Yes, it looks like that 4-mile delay is now pretty much a thing of the past, thankfully, because that was over an hour of stopped traffic. Do have one other issue. It's just causing a little slowdown. This is on the Garden State Parkway northbound, south of exit 143C, Route 124 in Irvington. The right lane is blocked. You can see they're moving. It's a little slow, not a massive stop down, and that should be something they can clear up relatively quickly. Hopefully, they'll get that done soon. We have a few slowdowns right now with construction. Construction on Route 35 northbound, just south of Morgan Drawbridge in Old Bridge Township and Pine Ave in Sayreville. The right lane is closed until this afternoon. And on Route 46, we have construction westbound between 80 in Denville and by, Canfield Avenue, Mine Hill Township. Right shoulder is closed until 4 p.m. Your Hudson River crossings, Lincoln Tunnel is going to cost you 20 to 25, and not so bad. The Holland Tunnel is only 15 to 20, and the GWB upper and lower, that's a little on the heavy side. You can see the upper level on the right, lower on the left, both ways, 40 minutes into Manhattan. 8:21 is our time. The Let's Talk Women's Health and Wellness Symposium is coming to New Jersey, and it will take place this Saturday, March 14th, at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center in Newark. Medical experts and community leaders will speak on issues that women are dealing with today. Deb Belfato is the founder of Let's Talk Women's Health and Wellness. We say good morning to Deb.
And good morning to you, Ken. Lovely to be here.
Always nice to have you on, Deb. So talk about the idea for this event. How did you first come up with it?
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for asking. Came up with it at the peak of the pandemic when I was recovering from my second breast cancer diagnosis, as I endearingly refer to as my WTF number 2. And I'm lucky. I'm very lucky. Number 1 and number 2, I had access to extraordinary resources, access to amazing healthcare, amazing doctors. That's why I'm sitting here with you today, feeling really, really grateful. And to me, my whole life, anything I've ever known is to pay it forward. And so it burst in my brain as I was sitting on the couch, my husband trying to keep me sitting still. And I said, I've got it. I want to build a women's health symposium. Voila. I mean, it's not that easy because the finance guy in him said, where are you going to do this? I said, NJPAC, of course, because I proudly sit on the women's board at NJPAC, and I adore that property. And I am a big champion for what is taking place in Newark. And I said, that's the place. And he said, do you know how much money you're going to have to raise? And I said, do you know how much money we're going to have to raise together? And we did.
Good deal. I thought you were going to say, and I said to him, do you know how much money you're going to have to raise?
We're a team. Oh, no, we're a true team.
I love that I remember last year we had you on talking about this event and how successful it's become. And that's because of a lot of hard work, because this is not an easy thing to put together. There are many topics you're going to be discussing: mental wellness, hormones, nutrition, and more. So how did you pick all the topics for the event?
Because I have the smartest and the most caring women that I'm surrounded with. And we put our brilliant minds together and we pay attention to everything that's happening in women's health today, which thank goodness is a lot because it wasn't always that way. And we do our research, we do our homework, and we know what is timely and what women need to know more about and be better informed so they can be their own best self advocates. And that's how we do it. And voila,
Deb,
here we are.
And I have to say, being now a man getting older gradually, men are the ones who sit around a table with each other and say, "Ugh, my back. Ugh, I couldn't poop. Did you poop today? I think I pooped last week." I don't mean to be gross. Women
Not gross.
tended traditionally, but it's part of getting older. women tended to you never complain. Like my mother never complains about stuff going on until it's like you got to get to a hospital. Women tend
Right.
to take care of their families and you're more nurturing. I know I'm speaking broadly, but and then when it comes to a woman's issue, it's always an issue that's whispered, a gynecological issue. Why has that been society for hundreds of years?
Well, let's face it, women in days gone by, and still to some extent today, were dismissed. They were dismissed in a doctor's office. Oh, it'll be fine. It's just something you're going through. Just not the level of attention that it deserved. And something I truly believe in, you must get ahead of it before it gets ahead of you. We've got to take charge. We've got to just know our value, appreciate how we're pulled in every direction. And without our health, what are we? Who are we? And women join forces. Women know how to gather and share. We're good at sharing and sharing information. But you want to get that information correct. It has to be accurate. And that's what we do.
Well, I want to make sure everybody knows how to get to your website. Let's talkwellwomen.org, right? Let's talkwellwomen.org. Want to make sure you get there, get tickets, go to this NJPAC. It's such a beautiful place. Make sure you get
It
there. And
is.
again, this is going to be taking place this Saturday, March 14th at NJPAC, New Jersey Performing Arts Center in Newark. Deb Belfato, always an honor to have you on, the founder of Let's Talk Women's Health and Wellness. We adore you. May it be packed beyond. And we thank you for coming on this morning. Come back and let us know how everything went.
Thank you, Ken. Be well.
You as well. You be healthy and well. Thank you, Deb. Love to have Deb on. It is now 8:27, 41 degrees. When we come back, it is Women's History Month, and thousands will walk in support of families and survivors in Hudson County. We'll explain. Phone lines open, 888-658-0234. We're coming right back. Very good morning to you. It is Monday, March 9th, 2026. We have 41 degrees at 8:30. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. It sure feels like spring is coming. Sunny and 70 here today. More sunshine tomorrow, temps upper 70s, but don't get too used to it. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the detailed Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike. So we're looking at up and down weather for the next few days in terms of temps.
Yeah, but first up, right, we get the big upside of the gorgeous warmer weather with the clear sky. It is beautiful across New Jersey right now. Clear sky from the mountains to the shore, and we stay nice and dry throughout this afternoon. There will be a touch of fog, however, and a little bit of mist down at the shore, especially with that cooler breeze coming in right off of the water. So a little bit of a southerly wind over the next several days, promoting a much cooler feel at the beaches, likely only making it feel like the 40s for afternoon highs, but you go inland, and will easily be in the 70s today. Nice and warm from Hamilton, Millville, and even west of there. As far as the pollen, you may have been feeling the sneezes due to the warmer weather. Well, it's the tree pollen, usually the first pollen of the season that comes on by, and that's response to the clear sky, the warmer weather, the longer daylight hours that are around that the trees start to begin the pollination. So not so much the warmth, but we'll take the warmth with it, especially with highs today getting up into the 70s across northern New Jersey. A beautiful feel by this afternoon. You walk outside and go, it's not 70 degrees. No, it takes a few hours, especially with that cooler feel that's around right now, making it feel like the 40s early this morning. We're dry also for the next few days. Wednesday night, best chance of seeing a little bit of wet weather, and primarily on Thursday with that wind switch and that front pushing through. That's what we'll see our increased chance of rain later on this week, but we have beautiful weather to enjoy before then, especially with all that clear sky and nice warm southerly breezes. So going through the next few days, it's warm, it's dry. We're on the correct side of the warm front, keeping things nice and toasty around here, at least through Wednesday. And then by Thursday, as the front approaches from the west, this will cool us down into the end of the week. That's what will give us that big shock to the system, going from the 70s in the morning back down into the 30s by later on Thursday night. That cooler weather trend takes us into the next several days. So this upcoming weekend will feel much cooler, especially as we head into Friday and Saturday with those overnight lows down in the 30s. Afternoon highs just making it back into the upper 40s and low 50s. Cooler weather ahead into the next few days. And then down the shore, much cooler overall. You don't see any 70s here because of your proximity to the chilly Atlantic Ocean. Remember, there were ice pallets and ice, the flows that were in the Atlantic just days ago. So it's going to take a while to warm up, even at the shore with afternoon highs not really leaving the 40s most of this weekend.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. Yeah, don't even talk about the ice flows being blocked up. That gave me nightmares, but glad to hear that that's all melting gradually. And whatever snow we might get next week, it'll be, if we do. The nice thing is being into mid-March, it's not going to stick around. It'll be bye-bye. So we like that. All right, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you. 8:33 right now is our time. We have 41 degrees northern New Jersey, 37 degrees in Trenton. It's 39 degrees now in Cape May, and it's 37 degrees in Vineland. In terms of traffic, let's go over to the New Jersey Turnpike. This just popped up. We have a crash on the Jersey Turnpike, Hudson County Extension, westbound east of Newark Bay Bridge in Newark. You can see this going right up to the bridge. Look at that. In fact, you can see the flashing lights on the right side. So that's what we have right now with one lane blocked. So you can see folks are trying to get off to the left to try to avoid that. In fact, no, I'm wrong. It actually says on the form left lane blocked. And I'm like, no, it was the right lane. No, it is the left lane. So you can see the left lane is trying to get off to the right. You just live on camera. Nice when it works out that way live on cam. They scooted from the right to the left lane. So they're blocking that left lane. Everybody's going to have to get over to the right to get over the Newark Bay Bridge. Just be aware that's very trafficked at this time of the morning, and that's going to cause a lot of delays. We go over to the Garden State Parkway right now at 143C. We have a crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound south of exit 143C, which is Route 124 in Irvington. The right lane is blocked. So everybody's jamming over to the left, as you can see right there on your screen. We have a crash now on 287 northbound south of exit 57, Skyline Drive in Oakland, with a left lane of 3 lanes closed. And we have an earlier crash that we talked about on the Garden State northbound south of exit 98. That was a mess for about 45 minutes to an hour. That's been cleared. So there's still some residual delays, but things are moving. The Hudson River crossings right now, Lincoln is going to cost you 30 minutes in. The Holland Tunnel is 25 to 30. TWB upper and lower levels, we take a look and see it's pretty darn heavy, especially in the lower level, which is on the left. Upper is on the right. Either way, it's going to cost you about 45 minutes into Manhattan. 8:35 is our time. Women Rising has supported families and survivors in Hudson County for over a century, and they will host their inaugural Rise and Stride Walk on March 28th at Lincoln Park in Jersey City to celebrate Women's History Month and to raise awareness for programs that support survivors of domestic violence. Margaret Abrams is the Domestic Violence Response Team Coordinator of Hudson County, and Lisa Gericchio is the Director of Fund Development. We say good morning, Margaret and Lisa.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, good morning, Ken.
Good morning. Lisa, let's start with you. Tell us about the Rise and Stride Walk and what inspired Women Rising to launch this new event.
Sure. So Women Rising has been servicing Hudson County for 120 years, over 12 decades, and we decided to have a walk to bring the community together so people know what we do. And in honor of Women's History Awareness Month and Women's yesterday was International Women's Day, we decided to close out the winter, say goodbye to winter, and dial up some great weather and get together for a walk in Lincoln Park to raise awareness of the wonderful programs that we do to help families and women, achieve self-sufficiency.
And we want to clarify, it's not the city of Lincoln Park, or the town, I should say. It's Lincoln Park in Jersey City, because there is a community called Lincoln Park that's separate. So I want to make sure everybody goes to the right place. It's an actual park in Jersey
City. Correct. Sorry about
Women
that.
Rising. No. That's why we want to make sure it's clear. Women Rising has been serving, as you mentioned, the Hudson County community for over 120 years. I was there when they first opened. Can you share a little bit about the mission of the organization and the work that you do every day? Because it is yeoman's work. It is a difficult job and a great job that you do.
Sure. So Women Rising was founded 120 years ago by women who actually worked at the Colgate factory. And they decided to get together and they needed services. And I love the story, and Margaret can elaborate more. They got together and they decided that they needed the services, and they slowly grew from 25 people to 168 and then to 500. 20 years ago, they raised $1 million. 100 years ago, they raised $1 million to build the building we're in right now. And Margaret can speak to the wonderful work that we do every day that she does to service women and families. And we were founded as a YWCA. And then slowly it grew to what we are today, as a full-blown social service agency.
And it's sad. We'll go to Margaret. Margaret, it's number one, it's sad that there is a need, but thank God you fill that need. We're talking in many cases women who are abused, domestic violence, they have children. They don't have a way. They feel trapped because what do we do? Where do I go? If I leave, then we don't get food. What are we supposed to do? So they're trapped sometimes in situations like that. And the numbers highlight the need. There are thousands of calls, I understand, to the domestic violence hotline, families receiving housing support. So let's talk about that. Talk about the services offered.
Okay, so we've been in this community for over 120 years providing services. So we're not just a domestic violence provider in Hudson County, but the other services that we have to offer are workforce programs. We work with maternal health, assisting women and their children basically to become self-sufficient. And we service all people in the community, not just women. So it's very important to understand that it's not just women that face domestic violence abuse, it is also males. It touches every race, every gender, socioeconomic, area. It's not just specific to one class of a person, nor is abusers as well. Abusers walk in our community every single day. You know, they're involved in church activities and sporting activities in the communities. You know, they're inspiring. You know, people look up to them. But what happens behind closed doors is something different. So, as you stated, all the services that Women Rising has to offer to survivors of domestic violence within our domestic violence service program, we have a domestic violence safe house shelter. We also have support groups, short-term counseling. We work directly with the children within our safe house. We work within DCPMP. We have a liaison there. Liaisons within the courthouse and with our domestic violence response teams. They respond to police departments and do crisis intervention to survivors that respond to the police departments. I kind of look at Women Rising like we're a one-stop shop. If we don't have the program available, we have the collaborations within the community in order to refer our clients out. You know, our clients come here, whether they walk through the door, whether they're referred by another agency, however it is that they walk through this door, they come broken. You know, Women Rise, and we have the resources, the services, the support system in place in order to help them to achieve the next level, whatever that next level may look like. You know, whatever it is that is in their plan, we have the resources, services, and support that'll help get them, you know, if they accept it, help get them to the next level, to live a safe, productive, and successful life. That's our mission. That's our goal within the community.
Well, we're down to our last 30 seconds, so I want to make sure we get the website up. What is a website so that people can call if they feel stressed and they need more help or just want to get more information?
Sure, they can call 201-333-5700. That is our hotline 24/7. And if you want to find more about us, you can register for the walk or register for our programs at www.womenrising.org.
All right. Margaret Abrams, Domestic Violence Response Team Coordinator of Hudson County, and Lisa Gericchio, Director of Fund Development for Women Rising. Thank you both for coming on this morning.
Thank you so much for having us, Ken. We hope to see you at the walk on the 28th.
Would love that. Let's keep hoping for nice warm weather. You got it. All right. Nice to have you on, ladies. You bet.
Today's weather, 70 degrees.
Fingers
Bye-bye.
crossed.
Thank
Fingers
you.
crossed. Bye-bye.
Yes.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
It is now 41 degrees. And yes, we're going to hopefully have some nicer weather. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns in just a moment. We'll be right back. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:45. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Spring, is it here? A bit of it. Sunny, 70 today, more sunshine tomorrow, temps upper 70s. Then it drops like a stone. Right to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
Like our dear friend meteorologist Bill Evans used to say, drops like a rock. That was his famous line, like a rock. So that's apparently what our temperature is going to be doing in the next few days.
In the next few days, yes. But first, we enjoy the warmth, right? Got to take all of the warm weather in stride, especially with highs that will be touching 70 as soon as today. And all of the rainfall that we've endured over the last week or so finally showing up in the bucket. So the rainfall deficit less than a quarter inch statewide. Always nice to begin the spring season not in a drought. And that'll be the case even going into the next few weeks with our rainfall expected to be slightly above average. The temperature, not so much above average. In fact, a little cooler than normal as we head into the next 2 weeks. I have to head to the desert Southwest for that warm weather there. But today we'll enjoy the milder trend up to 71 over in Wayne, 71 in Hackensack, and even 70 in Newark. Lovely amounts of sunshine all throughout the afternoon, helping to keep that warmer trend around, not just today, but tomorrow, warmer still, and then Wednesday looking beautiful. Thursday sees our transition from the 60s in the morning back down to the 40s later at night, and then even going into Friday and Saturday, cooler weather ahead, closer to average in what you'd expect into Sunday. Now, I know you see the snow on Monday. It's so far away. I'm not too worried about it. It's just showing up as this system that may be waiting in the wings, and there's a lot that could change between now and then. So let's take it one day at a time and enjoy the milder weather. However, if you're down the shore, it's probably not getting much beyond the 50-degree mark because the Atlantic is so chilly that even that little bit of a breeze you'd get each afternoon keeps us in the upper 40s throughout the next week or so. So the beach is cooler. Have to head inland to enjoy the warmth, Ken.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. Enjoy your day, sir. Enjoy
You
the
too.
nice, milder weather. Indeed. It is 41 degrees now, northern New Jersey, 37 degrees inland in Trenton. And it's, see, as you go further to the shore, now 40 degrees in Cape May, and it's 36 degrees in Vineland. So the shore is a little milder now than the inland areas, the valley areas, apparently. Looking at traffic, we have a problem now. Route 4 crash on Route 4 westbound, east of Forest Avenue, Maywood Avenue exit in Paramus. Right lane of 3 lanes closed, and this is what we have: bumper to bumper mess. Look at that mess in both directions. There as you're looking at Route 4. We have an issue on the Garden State Parkway right now. We've been talking about this. This is northbound. There's a crash south of exit 143C, which is Route 124 in Irvington. All lanes are open, but this is about a 2-mile delay. There was the left lane closed earlier, but that's been opened up. But now you just have the residual delays for folks trying to get by. We have a crash on the Turnpike, Hudson County Extension westbound. This is east of Newark Bay Bridge in Newark, but as you're on the bridge, you can see it. The left lane is impacted by this. It's blocked as they're trying to clear an earlier issue. So again, crash on the New Jersey Turnpike, Hudson County Extension westbound, east of the Newark Bay Bridge. See, the left lane is still a little bit heavy. They must have pulled off. Oh, no, you could see, okay, now the emergency vehicle's on the right side. The emergency vehicle was on the left, so they got the, I guess, the broken down vehicle off to the right. It's still a little bit slow as you make your way over the bridge as a result. You can see that. We have a crash too on 287 northbound south of exit 57 Skyline Drive in Oakland with the left lane of 3 lanes closed. Your Hudson River crossings right now, the Holland is 25 to 30. The Lincoln is 30 to 35 into Manhattan. GWB upper and lower levels starting to move a little tiny bit better. Upper level on the right, lower on the left. It's going to cost you about 35 to 40 minutes in the upper level and 40 minutes solid on the lower level. 8:49 is our time. Iranian officials have chosen the next supreme leader to replace the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed February 28th in the U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. It is his son, Mojtaba Khamenei. Many say this is a signal of defiance from Iran. The announcement came after the Israel Defense Forces warned that Israel would continue to follow any successor and anyone who seeks to appoint a successor, meaning anyone who is not to the approval of the West is going to have a target on their back. So apparently 50 to 70 of these people who were in the executive committee, if you will, from Iran have been eliminated. They're dead. So it's unclear how many figures from Khamenei's inner circle have been killed in total. Again, it could be 70 or more. In the expanding U.S.-Israeli operation. Over the weekend, Israeli forces expanded their attacks to Iran's energy infrastructure, setting fuel depots ablaze in Tehran, and a strike on a hotel in central Beirut brought the war with Hezbollah to the middle of the Lebanese capital there. Meanwhile, the Israelis continue bombarding the oil fields in Tehran. The middle of the night, we saw orange plumes of smoke, orange flames, of course, as the strikes engulfed fuel depots into flames. The Iranian government warned citizens to stay indoors as environmental fallout from the strikes blanketed parts of the city. The bombs hurled during violent protests near Gracie Mansion over the weekend, and they were real bombs, highly volatile explosive devices. The NYPD describes them as IEDs, improvised explosive devices that could have caused serious injury or death. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch says that two pro-Muslim demonstrators, identified as Amir Balat and Ibrahim Qayyumi, allegedly shouted Allahu Akbar as they threw the devices. The two were arrested in the incident, with federal authorities now working with the NYPD. They describe themselves as self-radicalized. They're both U.S. citizens, though their families migrated here from Turkey and Afghanistan. Mayor Mamdani was inside Gracie Mansion a few hundred feet away when the incident occurred, but was not hurt. One of the bombs is believed to have gone off while police grabbed the other before it could cause harm. The two men hurled those devices into a crowd of anti-Islamist protesters. Mayor Mamdani denounced the anti-Islamist protesters, calling them anti-Muslim, but said nothing of the Muslims who threw the potentially deadly devices at the protesters. Now, another device was found late yesterday afternoon in a vehicle in front of Gracie Mansion. That device only described as suspicious. Again, the mayor fortunately was unharmed. 8:52, the U.S. Embassy in Oslo was hit by a loud explosion yesterday, causing minor damage but no injuries in what may have been a deliberate attack linked to the crisis in the Middle East. No suspects have been identified, but police say they may be looking for several people. And President Trump yesterday threatened to withhold his signature from any legislation until Congress passes a Republican-backed voting bill, the latest escalation in his push to ensure only U.S. citizens vote in our elections by being forced to prove who they are with government-issued ID before being allowed to vote. The Save America Act passed in the House last month, but faces an uphill battle in the Senate, where it requires at least 60 votes to overcome the chamber's filibuster rules. Trump's warning comes days after he threatened to bypass Congress entirely by issuing an executive order to impose voter identification requirements if lawmakers fail to act. Yesterday's LA Marathon featured two different finish lines, and people were not happy about that. With temperatures climbing into the 80s, organizers said that runners had the choice of finishing the race early at the 18th mile and still receiving their medal if they were having a tough day. But people on social media disagreed, saying that this means that people who just decided to give up at the 18th mile could get their medal and still say they finished the marathon, just like people who ran the entire 26.2 miles. It reduces the marathon completion medal to be little more than a participation trophy. 8:54 is our time, and a woman was found dead along a canal in Phoenix. That prompted speculation over a possible link to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. The remains were found Friday, more than 100 miles from Tucson, from where the 84-year-old matriarch went missing February 1st. Phoenix police have yet to identify any identifying information about the woman. The slow pace of the investigation has frustrated Guthrie's loved ones, who offered a $1 million cash reward for information leading to her safe return or recovery. Security video recovered from Nancy's doorbell cam featured a masked man loitering on her doorstep the night before police believed that she was kidnapped. 8:54, and no jail time for a former New Jersey mayor convicted of DUI. Lumberton Township Committeewoman Gina LaPlaca pleaded guilty to DUI and child endangerment charges last Tuesday and was sentenced to 3 years of supervision. LaPlaca was caught recklessly driving drunk with her 2-year-old son in the car on St. Patrick's Day of last year and will not face jail time because of New Jersey's so-called second chance laws. The 46-year-old Democrat will be required, however, to attend AA meetings and comply with New Jersey Division of Child Protection and Permanency requirements. It is 8:55, and what would you say causes the most sports-related injuries? Well, many would say something like football or wrestling, right? Maybe shot put, who knows? Well, it's not football, and nope, it's not even hockey. If you give up, workouts. Yep, workouts, even at home or at a gym and using gym equipment. A study analyzing over 4.3 million ER visits in 2024 found that exercise equipment actually causes the most sports-related injuries. In fact, workouts and the gym were to blame for nearly 565,000 injuries. Cycling, basketball, football, and skateboards and scooters were also high on the list causing injuries. Men were injured 2 to 1 times over women, especially in male-dominated sports like football and basketball. So just don't go to the gym and do your stretches too much because you might end up in the hospital. Just take it easy. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says we'll have sunny skies today, temps around 70. More sunshine tomorrow, temps in the upper 70s, but the cold weather will return. In fact, it's going to plummet from Wednesday into Thursday back to some cold temps. So don't get too used to the warm weather. Just remember, spring is just a few weeks away. And that is On New Jersey Mornings for your Monday, March 9th, 2026. I'm Ken Rosato. And remember that you could stream us at onnj.com, onlaca.com, Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And now you can stream us live on Substack, Rumble, Twitch, and Local Now. We'll catch you again tomorrow morning at 7. In the meantime, tell all your friends about us. Till then, thanks for watching On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. Have a great day.